This is the Tom Bigby Tales. I'm your host, Shannon Evans. I write about a small town in Northeast Mississippi called Columbus, and sometimes, like tonight, I talk about the rest of the state. Here tonight, I have with me Mary Frances Hurt, the granddaughter of Mississippi John Hurt and the director of the Mississippi Hurt Foundation. Mary Frances, thank you so much for coming on this podcast, even though it's a sad event. Well, where shall we start?
Somewhere in the middle of that, it's just so much. I just don't know where to begin. It's just so much. It's just a whirlwind of just irreversible loss, life altering things that's happened in the last week. It's just crazy.
Yeah, it is. I hate to bring up the sore subject, but start with the loss of the museum. How did you find out and what happened? I know that's a really sore subject and very painful.
Okay. I was just celebrating the on Monday, the 20th. Finally, after many years of trying to get the museum as a national landmark. And finally, that happened. Tuesday morning at 6 a.m., I got a call thinking this is going to be a celebratory kind of thing. And I get the call of just chill me to my very soul. And all my sister could say in a muffled and sad voice, the museum has been burned to the ground. I don't remember hanging up from her. All I know is that my life and everything that I've done these last 37 plus years just went up in smoke. And I experienced a death that is just indescribable. And I know what real death is, to lose a loved one. But this is just surreal. It's just surreal. I'm still thinking that this is a nightmare, but that just not happening. But the circumstances around it every day gets bigger and worse than before. That's possible.
Let's start with, you asked me to go down there, and I went and looked at the site, and I took pictures for you. Let's talk about the locked gates on the house doors and the hinges that I took pictures of, and the hasp lock.
That house has had those double doors and those iron bars, and the original door of that house with double locks on it, and the iron gate is first, and the bars of the gate was pried open wide enough to reach your hand through, and
well, they were big enough to put your shoulder through. I mean, I could have pushed myself through it. And that piece of steel spring bar that wasn't scorched or anything, just laying a foot away.
It's right, and it's that iron strip that was at the entrance of the door. Apparently, someone pulled that bar up from the door frame, from the board of the floor of the entrance of the house, and used that iron bar to pry those bars open.
Well, there was absolutely no soot or burn marks on the paint on that pry bar.
No, none whatsoever. And for when the sheriff told me hours after the fire that it was caused by an electrical problem. First of all, that museum is open only by appointments only. The electricity is always cut off by the meter all the time for the last 30+ years. It's always been that way. And where he said there is a limb that could have hit the meter box.
There's no way. It's in
no-
a field. There's no way.
There's no way. I mean, here this thing, the meter box is facing a field. There's no tree near that a branch could reach it. And the branch he held up and that he said he saw and he threw to the side, if the branch hit the meter box, they would have been consumed by fire as well. It just doesn't add up. It just doesn't.
Well,
and how convenient is it? Hours after, less than 24 hours after this place is declared a national landmark, and it burns to the ground.
well, let's back up and talk a little bit about the sheriff. The sheriff called you, or you called him?
I called the sheriff's office.
And then at that point, he told you it was an electrical fire?
3 hours later, I talked to the dispatch at the sheriff's office.
So less than 12 hours from the fire, he's already declared it.
Yes.
And he contacted the press, or the press contacted him.
He contacted he contacted the press in 3 major cities, Greenwood, Jackson, and Memphis, Tennessee. And he even called the person that Nancy Bell, who was the director who came down and declared the house, that took the final pictures for the magazine.
Oh, for the National Landmark. Mm-hmm.
National Landmark, took the final pictures. So he called her to let her know that the museum had burned and it was electrical fire.
Why did he call her?
When you find that out, would you please tell me?
Okay, well, let me ask you another question. Carroll County's mighty small. I know there's a sheriff and a couple of deputies and the receptionist lady who answers the phone at the sheriff's office. Is it usual for the sheriff to call news agencies about a fire in the county?
I've never experienced this, and my mother had a major fire that burned her house down. Okay, and the sheriff, I've never known him to do anything. I mean, I had called Sheriff Walker regarding people coming down in the daylight, cutting timber on our property, and Sheriff Walker came down, gave these guys a pass, told them to throw their logs off. They had already cleared 18 to 30 acres of property of timber in the daytime. Nothing was done about that. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
So he has a history of ignoring the needs of African American property owners.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And when I called, I called the county about the desecration of those graves, the removal of that marker, the state marker. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Well, let me ask you a couple of quick questions, and let's talk about the marker, because you and I have worked hard on those markers. When Clint Walker, did he call the ATF and the FBI and the MBI, or were they automatically notified by the National Landmark people? Can you? I can't hear you. Okay, I
Well,
can't hear you. Can you move closer to your, there you go. I couldn't hear you for a second.
ATF had already declared that they was in concert that this was electrical fire. With all the evidence that was ran around after the fact, those pictures that were liquidated without the pictures, here was items laying out in the grass that should not, that was in the museum that should have never been out before. And the locks that was in the yard that was that had no shit or anything that was resembled that had been at all.
What I find interesting is we still don't have an official report from the fire marshal, the state fire marshal, the ATF, or the FBI, or the MBI.
The thing is, nobody. And all of the reports that Chef Walker is giving out his various reports, I've gotten information from people on the outside that have given this information from Chef Walker, but yet nobody has said anything. No one.
Okay. So why is he announcing these things when there's no official word?
Well, this is a mind blowing. Every day it becomes more nightmarish. Okay, like today, I spent it dealing with a blues woman that should have never been there in the first place in front of this very store, who was the cause headquarters of activities all of my life. And my grandfather in his lifetime was never allowed to go into that store, let alone play there.
Yeah.
And as you know, Shannon, we took this to the Blues Commission, and they agreed for us to relocate it.
Yes.
And after numerous times getting in touch with Josh Hirsch, who's the candidate to the World 2000, who's responsible for doing things like that for the Blue Trail Markers, and who placed, which was the who had the county roads commissioner had placed that marker there some 24 years ago, and granted, Josh wasn't the one who put it there, but he agreed that he would relocate it based on the permission of the Blues Trail Commission. And so we had planned to relocate the marker for the October 4th and 5th Memorial Walk, and it didn't get done. So I called Walker, Josh Hurst. Josh Hurst. At the last of January to prepare for Black History Month for February for an event to have children from the local school to come for a tour and watch the historical project that was installed by Carnegie Mellon University. He never called me back to date, and only to hear through a second source that he didn't move it because the owners of the Valley store wouldn't allow him to come on personal property. That's insane.
But he never would return your call.
About this marker that was not stolen, and they're getting all the press about that the store was broken into, and the Blues Trail marker was stolen, and they're all up in arms about finding it. And it's not stolen; it was relocated as they sent the letter to the reporter.
Let me pause and read the letter real quick. Okay, just for a sec. Let me pull it up and read it. It's gonna take me a sec. Sorry about that. It says, I got it in my I'm gonna I'm sorry, 1 second. Wrong letter. Here we go. Here it is. It says, relocation of the Mississippi John Hurt Blues Trail marker. Dear Carroll County Commissioners and Supervisors, the Mississippi Blues Trail was implemented by the Mississippi Blues Commission in 2006 to place informative markers in and around historical blues sites throughout the state of Mississippi. These blues sites were related to the birth, growth, existence, and influence of many blues artists, both men and women of the state, and in some cases beyond the state. The markers can be found on city streets, near train depots, cemeteries, clubs, and churches. Since the commission's inception, 212 Mississippi Blues Trails markers have been erected throughout the entire state of Mississippi, as well as in 10 other states and 4 other countries. This iconic trail has become the most heralded music trail in the world. The Blues Trail is fondly known as the world's biggest outside museum and is visited by tourists from all 50 states in the United States, as well as attracting countless visitors from many other countries. Paragraph 2. Mrs. Mary Frances Hurt brought to the Mississippi Blues Commission's attention that she and her family believed that the current location of the Mississippi John Hurt marker was better located in front of the John Hurt Museum on Route 109. She made a presentation to the commission. A vote was taken and approved of the relocation. We are writing to inform you of the commission's approval. Any assistance you can give Mrs. Hurt and her foundation to accomplish this would be greatly appreciated. Please let us know if you have any other questions or concerns. Signed, Rochelle Hicks, Director of Visit Mississippi and Chairman of the Mississippi Blues Commission. So,
How can you connect me? And now I have been chased down like a rabbit for this blues trail where Clint Walker's declaring this iconic museum as an electrical fire and doing nothing to fight us who did this. But yet, he didn't have a problem finding a report for these people that had a blues trail marker that I've legally moved.
That you have permission to remove.
That's how I spent my day, not hearing from them regarding this travesty involving the foundation and their county in the state of, and the whole of the state of Mississippi. That's him a blues trail marker, which is now the centerfold of their attention, as opposed to this fire that has destroyed generations of our culture.
So there's no more mention of the fire, except that maybe is it connected to the missing sign? The sign's not missing.
It's not missing, and gave the indication that they also declared that in addition to the sign being missing, that the body store was broken into. So I was told by what the state commissioner, now I'm covering state property, but yet it was the same. They're saying that I can't have state property on private property, but yet that marker was on private property that they gave me permission to relocate. So now
it makes no sense.
So I'm a victim as well as a villain.
Well, Mary Frances, we both know that they don't really care about Mississippi John Hurt, except in case he could bring them some money or notoriety. What's interesting to me is, why are they so all wrapped up about a sign where nobody spends a dime on their property? And the John Hurt, every time there was visitors to the museum or an event, let's just be frank about it. There's 2 restaurants in Carroll County, am I correct?
That's correct.
There's a gas station in North Carrollton that sells, I don't even think it sells gas anymore. I think it just sells beer and fried chicken. I maybe some candy. Where do you spend your money? What's there to spend money on in Carroll County? I mean, I usually go to Winona when I'm headed home from Carroll County, or I have to go all the way to Greenwood, which is in LaFleur County. What's there to spend money on in Carroll County?
What Carroll County has shown me, they're not interested in having to do with
They don't want
bringing any
tourism?
to well, they're interested in tourism as long as it relates to status quo, visiting the slave houses of yesterday's plantation owners.
Oh, the
That is
antebellum
what they have
homes.
spent their,
The antebellum homes.
the antebellum home.
But
And
nobody,
this
I
one in
mean,
particular, the J.C. George house, I think it is.
uh-huh. Well, God bless them for keeping that building up because that's expensive. But I don't think I know of anybody that's ever been there. And I'm pretty involved in the historical section of those types of things. Where do they spend their money? I'm telling you, there's not even a hotel in Carroll County, is there?
No, there's
Is there a
there's
gas station? I guess there's the Hilltop gas station. Maybe in
Yeah.
Blackhawk.
Okay, the closest thing to any type of civilization as it relates to Carroll County is Grenada, which has hotels and restaurants to accommodate that.
But
There's-
that's not Carroll County though, is it?
No, it's not. It's Grenada County. And then you have LaFleur County, which is Greenwood, which has accommodation, a nice hotel, but it is definitely not for the average person to stay there.
You're going there because you got business or a reason.
Of the night.
And then the same for Winona. I think Winona's got a La Quinta or something. I don't know. It's got Sonic.
But here's a town that has nothing and doesn't want anything. And they absolutely, I don't care what an African American have accomplished in that county. To no avail. No avail.
Well, Mary Frances, let's share what happened. Well, let's talk about the graveyard where the St. James Missionary Baptist Church used to be before you moved it from its last location. And Mr. Charles Spain and the struggle we had with the board of supervisors. So Charles Spain was given a piece of property that had a church on it and a graveyard.
Wait. It wasn't okay. If this person did not have property surrounding that cemetery, his deed clearly states, except the St. James Cemetery.
Correct.
Now he could have buried any space on his property.
Yeah, he has like 180 other acres.
He could have. I mean, he said this one in the face of somebody else and has this bench on a grave site right now as I speak. There is nothing more degrading, more dehumanizing than that. That is a Native American, African American cemetery. That ground is as sacred to my people as any cemetery would be to any other group of people. It's just degrading, and it's just completely heartless.
Well, let's talk about that piece of land, because not only was it the church to people who were enslaved, and then it was the meeting ground after. It was still a church, it was still a burial space, but it was also where the school was for the children.
It was the hub of the African American community.
Mm-hmm.
It was the social center. It was the edifice. It was the whole center of the social activity that there was already activity for African Americans for generations since 1837. That's a long time.
Well, And across the street is where your grandfather is buried, where Mississippi John Hurt is buried, and his son Johnny, and your father, who is his son, TC,
Right? His
his
daughter,
mother.
his mother, his father, his father's father. All of these people are there. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of graves. And of all places that Charles Spain could have buried. Why would he bury? If you're going to steal a part of a gravesite, why would you bury right in front of this interest?
He has more than 100 other acres up there and hilltops. One of them has a big old deer stand on it, and it's a beautiful space. It's been clear cut. It could have made a beautiful space for his family, but I don't know why he felt it necessary to desecrate an African American cemetery.
I mean, we're nothing. And the souls of our people, it does not count. They don't have souls. Remember that? They don't have that.
Well, let's take what happened. And so you did the memorial walk in October, and the Mount Zion Memorial Fund. We had put up a monument with the names of all the families, the Conleys, the Richardsons, the Hurts, all the people that the Becks, all the people who were buried up there and who were from that community. And we made a marker to hopefully prevent further encroachment. And you had the dedication in October with the memorial walk.
Yeah.
And you had people there from all over the world. Tell us who were some.
All over the world. All over the world.
There were people.
We were.
Well, wait a minute. Hang on. You had people there because I have a YouTube clip. You had people there from Italy, China,
Yes.
Germany, Chicago, Pittsburgh. You had them. I mean, they were from California. There were people from Memphis, all over the place.
But there was not one person there from Carroll County. Not one. Not one person.
Not even the press, and they were invited.
Not one person. When I called the Granddaughter came away to come down and do a prayer on the desecration of that grave. They sent a reporter there, and he was taking pictures with his cell phone. And I asked him, "Why aren't you going to write a story about them?" I mean, there are hundreds of people out here whose families are out here that are concerned about this tragedy. He told me, I don't know what you tell me the truth about. I have to talk to Charles Spain about what he did.
Wait, Charles Spain is going to tell you. Wait, he's the one who stole the land.
The Mississippi John Hurt documentary. He was at my house taking pictures of Dave Bowman, who had worked at the Greenwood Commonwealth, giving me a picture he had taken out of the house before it was moved in 1970 something. And he was there to take pictures. He was on the front and back page of the cover of the newspaper. And here I called him out the very next day to do an article that was a person. It was more important to him taking a picture with me than giving back a photo.
So wait, did that I like Ike thing? Did that Roosevelt thing get burned up in the fire?
No. No.
So let's go back to the march. You were marching along. You're getting ready to go dedicate this beautiful, really tall stone that has that commemorates all the families.
Beautiful.
And all these people from all over the world were there to help you celebrate and to celebrate your grandfather. And what did the Spains do?
This guy came plowing to the crowd in a big truck, having the people to scatter as he's mowing down this road and rush ahead to go and put up
He had an orange extension cord.
an extension cord the entrance to this grave site that has been burial place for African Americans for 200 plus years. And here we're walking, and everybody, especially the people from the other countries, was standing just struck and shocked when he started shouting racial slurs to me.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, I mean, one of the guys from Germany and China took pictures and took a video of them
Yeah.
shooting, because they just couldn't, that only to show them what happened at this event. So it's just in case it says my imagination. This the next day it went viral.
So
It's just
so it's been right at 2 weeks that so 2 weeks and a day since the museum was declared a national landmark, 2 weeks since it burned to the ground.
I haven't heard anything. That one single statement from the ATF, not from the Carroll County. Although when I called Walker, he told me automatically that it was electrical fire. And he said, call me back and I'll tell you what ATF said. But I can tell you right now, we all agree that's electrical fire. So then what's the point?
There is no
What's the point of me trying to, I know what the verdict is going to be. And you were there when I was explaining to the sheriff, that's a crazy on the grave. He's saying to me, well, you have a lawyer? It's not do anything about it?
Well, so let's go from let's go back to the sign thing. What happened today? I helped you put together the call and to send that letter we read about the Blues Trail marker to that the sign isn't, that they're declaring the sign's been stolen.
Waiting for any kind of word on this disaster that has just devastated me and all of his fans and those people around the world who genuinely care. I don't have an answer for that. And here, in the midst of this, somebody called me and tell me, oh, well, they're declaring the Blues Trail markers missing. And my first, no, it's not. We're relocated like we had planned to do in the beginning. So it's not stolen, it was relocated. The foundation relocated as we were given permission to do.
But suddenly the white community is all worried about us, and the sign was relocated in the midst of concern about the fire and about potential additional issues. And so the foundation relocated the sign a day or two after the fire, and they're just now noticing it. The fire was the 21st or the 22nd? 22nd.
22nd.
And the sign was relocated the 23rd or the 24th of February, and it's now March 6th. What's today? 5th or the 6th?
Yeah, it is. It is the 6th.
So they're
March
now
6th.
so it took them 2 weeks to notice that the sign was removed.
And then when I called the press to tell them that, hey, we the foundation relocated it as download as protection. No, they did. So the church still exists. So I talked to Mr. King, and he said, "Oh, no problem. And we understand, and we're going to do our best to support you in this, and whatever. No problem."
So wait a minute. Who's Mr. King? Who's Camille King?
He's the director of the Blues Commission.
Okay.
So hours later, he called me back in a ticket saying that, oh, well, everybody's instead to pat it down and all the papers really blowing up, and you could be charged with stealing state property, and so you need to release it. And what? You gave us permission. You said it was not your job to move it. The county said that they couldn't come on private property to remove a sign that they had put there years before. I'm baffled.
So basically, let me put this out there. Basically, a Black person's museum home burns to the ground, and there's no uproar. Nobody's worried in Carroll County. Nobody's calling any politicians. Nobody's doing anything. But the sign that you have permission to have moved is moved by the foundation that has permission to move it. And they're calling every congressman, they're calling everybody at the Blues Commission. The white community there is putting all this pressure on the Blues Commission to make you. I'm
trying to find a marker that they told me that I could relocate.
Which we just read the letter from the Blues Trail Commission.
But no, none of these people, not one county, state, city representative have called me to express any kind of concern on this travesty, not only for the county, not just for my family, but for globally, the people that have come to that museum these 30 plus years and brought tax dollars to that state.
So let me get this straight. You went to the county, nobody did anything, starting with Josh Hurst, who is your board of supervisor and for your district and the highway supervisor or some such thing. Okay, number one. Then, so when the fire happened, did you contact the NAACP locally?
No.
Who did you contact?
Well, initially, I called the sheriff's office in Carrollton.
Okay.
And from there, the ball started rolling from there.
Okay.
Clint Walker called the Greenwood Commonwealth, which they came out and ran a story without
about the fire.
Without sending an investigative reporter out there on site.
Okay.
They just took his word for it that it was no foul play.
They didn't call the ATF, the MBI, the FBI, or the fire marshal themselves. They just took it at his word.
Exactly.
Okay. So now let me get this part straight. When did you start getting threatening phone calls? Before the fire or after the fire? And tell me.
Before and after. And I kept getting, I had gotten a slew of calls from fans all over the globe when they found out about the fire.
Okay.
So I get an unknown call about 8:30 p.m. on Friday, and I kept getting those calls, and finally I answered this unknown call, and the person on the phone who wasn't there told me next I would be the museum now, and nigga, next it would be you. And after seeing pictures that was taken from at my house, where there's someone clearly drove up and it seemed like a four-wheeler, a big truck, all of it up to my window where I sleep when I'm there. Had I been there, I really believe to my heart that they would have done me harm. And I'm still afraid to come to that state. I have been asked by a person that I trust very well called me and said, Mary, it is not safe for you to come here.
It is not. It is not safe.
But I mean, what have I done?
Nothing
What have I done?
existed. You know you and I are both from Mississippi. We know the answer to that question.
What I have done is to have brought good to that county. That's all. And anybody, any reputable state or county would have been proud of what I brought to that county. And all I've been faced with acquisition after acquisition. And now my life and the life of my sister that's down there is at jeopardy too. And with no protection, she's in a vulnerable place. Why? Because I'm Black? Not because I've done anything destructive. Not that I have done anything outright. I have brought people to that county and to that state that didn't know that Mississippi had decent people there, really. And that blues trail, as we have brought people from all over the world, but yet in this county, where the most iconic bluesmen live, is not welcome.
Do you know that John Hurt's sign in his home, that Blues Trail marker is the most visited Blues Trail marker? I'm pretty sure that's correct statistic. Is the most sought out Blues Trail marker.
I have had people from all over the world who have come just to find his grave site. I have thousands of coins over the years and blues picks from various countries that they leave on his grave site.
And flowers, a lot of flowers are left there.
And people come. I've had interviews from magazines from all over the world. This Carroll County has been there where this house is. I have magazines from Time magazine from China, in various places, various countries that have come there and took pictures. People plan their vacation with their kids to come to that museum. All I brought to that county through Daddy John's kind spirit is good. Good. That's all. And for this kind of chaos to arise in a person's legacy, it's wrong. And it's so very, very painful. I'm so depleted.
Well, Mary
I'm
Frances,
just at a loss for.
so Mary Frances, if you would like to tell people what can people do to put pressure on the Mississippi Blues Commission and the people of Carroll County to get that sign and keep it where it belongs and get it corrected, because we know there's information on it that's not correct, to put that sign up on the Mississippi John Hurt property? What can people do?
They can write the governor, Kate Reed.
Okay.
They can write the county officials.
Okay.
They can cry out in their community, in the various churches, because and just and just really genuinely care enough to see injustice to win-win. It's injustice to all. This is the 21st century, for God's sake.
You know what I find so interesting about all this? And I also encourage people to write to the Mississippi Blues Commission and let them know how they feel and that demand that they do the right thing. I think they will, but I don't trust anybody in this day and age. So I'm gonna say something. My mother is from Yazoo County, Mississippi. She's a very humble woman. She's an incredibly well-educated woman. And when you and I wanted to go to the Mississippi Blues Commission, you said, I'm gonna get a hotel. And I said, no, you're not. We're gonna go stay at my mama's house.
Yeah.
And you got to stay in the pink bedroom with all the pillows. And then we ended up bunking together because
I mean, Shannon, I mean, all of those great experiences and all of this, I mean, of all of the places in the whole wide world, here is this little town that Daddy John sung about, that brought people seeking this place that he loved so much.
Well, that's where I was going. My mother sat there and listened to you talk about your grandfather, and she looked at me and she said, all he sang about was love. And so my mother was a journalist. She grew up in the 30s and 40s, and she was a young woman in the 50s and 60s, and she was a professional journalist. And she was like, people don't understand how important John Hurt is, and the Blues Trail, and the people in the blues, and what this has done for our state. I mean, Carroll County could have been like Clarksdale. Now, maybe they wouldn't have had all the big fancy hotels and stuff, but they could have captured their own history, and instead they let it be destroyed. And they keep destroying it, and they don't care.
But the thing with this is it cannot be the onus of a small county that is only history or their fame is known for the great lynching.
Well, what do you expect when they still have the Confederate flag flying at the courthouse? I mean,
Yes.
do you remember where we sat in the courthouse? We sat right under where the lynchings were, or excuse me, they called them hangings. Where the hangman's noose hung. Remember, we sat right over the trap door.
And I remember even greater, when I first started the foundation some years ago, and the mayor asked me to come and talk to her. I invited her. She invited me to come and talk to her. And when I got to her office, I was waiting, and she had a 11 by 14 picture on the wall. And I went up to it and looked at it with interest. And I finally realized it was a picture of a lynching.
Oh, good Lord.
With a crowd of people gathered around with picnic baskets and on the ground. And she said to me, she broke my shirt when she said, "That's a nice picture, isn't it?"
Oh my
it was
God.
our last that we had in
a
Carroll.
nice picture.
Yes.
Oh my God.
And she said, well, you must be Mary Frances. You want to come in? No, thank you. I don't want to be your last picture. I want this to be your last one. Okay, on this picture right here. I don't want to be in a fight.
Oh my God, that's horrific.
I was stunned. Stunned. But I'm telling you, this journey of this bringing this museum back, and it is no longer shocking to me. It is unbelievable to think what I'm going through. It's unbelievable.
Well, Mary Frances, I know we need to wrap this up and I want to continue this conversation again. Because there's so much more and I know more is going to happen tomorrow. As you continue to deal with the ATF, the fire marshal, and the sign, that bloody sign, I can't help but think that there's a connection between us trying to get that sign moved and I had just sent another email around to the county officials. I had been in the courthouse just before the fire. I mean, the week before. We had so many conversations about what still needed to be done and why that sign hadn't been moved. And that was when I had that conversation with the person at the Visit Carrollton, their convention, their visitor center, who told me that that Josh Hurst wasn't gonna move that sign because it was on private property and he couldn't move it. After we had been told over and over he was gonna move it, and then suddenly to find out through the grapevine.
Not even the decency of a phone call.
No, we found it, if I hadn't asked that person, and then that was on Friday, and on Monday, it burned. There are no coincidences.
I will put myself on the line on this 6th day of March 2024. I may not ever find out who did this in my lifetime, but I will bet everything that I worked for, materialistically, that I own, and all the years that I have put into this. I believe with all of my heart and soul, the political body of Carroll County, from the County Board of Supervisors, the Sheriff's Office, Josh Hurst, all of them, if they did not set that fire themselves personally, they know who did. They know who did this.
Well, it's just, there was I called about the sign. I talked to that person on Friday. On Monday, the house was put on the National Register, and on Tuesday it was gone. Tell me, somebody explain to me how that isn't related, and I'll tell
Well,
them.
if you have dementia like I do.
Oh, God, that's true. That's true. According to the sheriff.
I have dementia.
Yep.
So you must have dementia.
I must. I'm just crazy as Mary Frances, we can't solve this tonight, but I'm gonna, you know what? I might offend somebody and I don't even care. Nina Simone was right. God damn Mississippi, because this is the worst of what Mississippi is. I have been fighting. I mean, I've only been fighting for 3 years. You've been fighting for how many years on this house?
37 years.
37, and I've been along on 3 years of it.
37 years of this.
I can't even imagine how you feel.
And all of
can't
the
even
money,
imagine.
all of the time. I mean, but here's the thing with this. God bless our Browning, sweet, sweet soul. He was a white guy. As I was cleaning out the house, he came down. He was a fan of Daddy John.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy was so kind and so good. And he could play, he entertained the people as they came from various countries and other states to the museum for years. For years. And art brought the good of that county to that little house. and they preserved it. They kept it. A decade later, a wave came through Greenwood, where all of these people that used to live on the affluent side of Greenwood have peppered those hills, fleeing African American from their community. And where this property is, where the museum is a hiding place for people who hate like that.
I know.
Just show up the house. And I just shudder to think to try to explain to those people. All for the last week, Shannon, it's people calling me from other countries, various states, trying to wrap their head around this craziness. How I've been trying to preserve my grandfather's legacy with all this energy. I don't know how. I don't know how to do that anymore. But where do I go? What do I do? And why do I have to question something that is a part that should be a pride of everybody who lives in the state of Mississippi? And it wouldn't matter if Daddy John was white, black, or polka dot. This is a cultural. It is the one thing that I found that I found some reckoning in my soul is through music. Through music, that is the common denominator that has brought that great that sealed that gap of the division that has separated us as a culture, as a race of people. I was taught through the legacy of Daddy John to treat people and accept people for who they are, not by their skin color. And I'm telling you, Shannon, God forgive me. But what has happened has taken me back down those dark roads that has brought us so far. And I can say with affinity, Carroll County is absolutely the worst place on this earth. I've never encountered so much hate in my life. Never.
Me either. And I've lived all over the world. It is just despicable. Despicable. Mary Frances, I want to thank you. We're going to encourage people to write to the Mississippi Blues Trail Commission, to the governor of the state, Tate Reeves, to the Carroll County, Mississippi Board of Supervisors, and to local law enforcement to demand a fair and impartial investigation into the loss of the Mississippi John Hurt home, museum, and to ensure that the Blues Trail marker sign is moved where the Blues Trail Commission said they were going to move it to, which is onto the Mississippi John Hurt Museum property, which includes the St. James Missionary Baptist Church that was moved to that property. In addition, I would encourage people to go to the Mississippi John Hurt Blues Foundation, which is a nonprofit, as well as onto their Facebook page, and to follow. And if you are able, and if you are of a mind, to provide some financial support for the rebuilding of the museum. It will have to be a replica, of course, sadly, but it's such an important piece of history that the only way to show racist, white supremacist communities that this legacy can't end and it won't end is to stand up and to rebuild. Because as Mary Frances says, like the phoenix, let's help John Hurt's memory rise from that fire so that it can be a bastion of truth and hope for future generations. Mary Frances, you have a last thing you'd like to say?
I would thank you, and God bless you, Shannon, for and the Mount Zion Memorial Foundation for your kindness and help securing at least the grave site and all you've done for the betterment that you're doing for the betterment of Mississippi and abroad. Because I think when you address the needs of your own home and this being your birthplace and where your ancestors are, then you are securing a place for the world and generations to come, and thus will fulfill your purpose for living, and that is whatever legacy that you were given. It is your God-given duty to leave the world better because you lived. And I thank Daddy John for living a life that I could model and to emulate and to say from the epitome of my heart is that I pray that the people who have supported me over the years, wherever you are, that you would come and see and embrace the cultural differences of all people, no matter what, and let's as one build our home place, our world, which is if this is where you stay, the home state of Mississippi. You may not alter what's going on, but individually, collectively, one by one, we can change and be better people for one another. And I've been blessed having experienced that from people. But I want to feel that my support, Shannon, before you and Tita Wayne came along, I've never gotten any type of assistance until you and Tita Wayne and the Mount Zion Memorial Fund came along. And to have that assistance just gave me hope. And a huge hole was punctured in my confidence in Mississippi being a welcoming place for my culture, for securing the legacy, the cultural, being a part of being a productive part of the community at large that my foreparents have contributed to make life better for me and for my generation and others to come. And I just, and as our land has been taken bit by bit, and that little corner that we have that I've opened up to the world to come. Shannon, I'm just praying and asking people to just make some small contribution to, and I'm not talking financial, making a call if you care to your local official, to the state, to the governor's office. Express your concern if you care. And I believe that that will make a difference. I really believe that.
It will. It really will. Your voice matters. People's voices, people don't understand the power of contacting their elected officials. Mary Frances, can we continue this conversation again in the near future?
Yes, yes, we can. Yes, we
Okay.
can. And if anyone have any questions, they can. I would be happy to address those if they want to.
Okay.
Fill those to you. I would.
Okay.
I would definitely be happy to entertain those questions.
Okay. Well,
God bless you, Shannon. Have a wonderful night.
Thank you, Mary Frances. I give my love to you. And this is the Tom Bigby Tales. Until next time. Good night.
Next. God bless.